Bechoros Daf Lamed Ches. When it comes to tumah of vessels, there's a difference between earthenware vessels and wooden vessels. Earthenware vessels, if you put the tumah inside the vessel, then the entire vessel becomes tamei. If you touch the tumah on the outside of the vessel, then it does not become tamei. If it doesn't have it inside at all, it's flat, then there's no tumah, and it doesn't have tumas medrus, which is tumah that you sit on it, step on it, because an earthenware vessel breaks when you sit on it. But when it comes to kli shetef, meaning wooden vessels that you could purify in a mikvah, so if it has an inside, then it's metama, becomes tamei, whether you put the tumah on the inside of it or you put the tumah on the outside of it, as long as it's a tumah deraisa, a strong tumah like zav and zava. But if it doesn't have an inside, then it doesn't become tamei because it's similar to a sack, just like a sack. It's moli bereikon, it's something that holds. So too, the wooden vessel has to hold something. A person or a vessel, a kli, cannot become tamei unless av hatuma touches it. So therefore, food and liquids would not make a vessel tamei. But midrabanan, because there's a very strong tumah of zav and zava, so they made a gzeira that even mashkim, liquids, are metama, the wooden vessel. But they did it in a way that you could tell that it's a gzeira. And they said that the wooden vessel is similar to earthenware. That is, that if you put these mashkim on the inside of it, then the whole thing becomes tamei. But if you put the mashkim on the outside of the vessel, then only the outside of the vessel becomes tamei, and not the handle, etc. If it's a vessel that doesn't have an inside, but you use it to sit, then it becomes tamei whether you touch the outside or the inside, the entire thing becomes tamei. If it doesn't have an inside and you also don't sit on it, then it doesn't become tamei at all. And now we're going to move on to the mumim, the blemishes of the eye. The eyelid, if it's missing a small amount, or if it has a slit in it, or it has a hole through it, that's a mum. In general, the eye, the white part of the eye, has no mumim. There's no mum in the white part of the eye, and therefore, if on the black part of the eye, the pupil, there's a cataract, which is a dark color, it's black, so it depends. If it looks like it's floating on the outside, it's not a mum, but if it looks like it's indented inside the pupil, then it's a mum. But if it's a white cataract, then it's the reverse. A floater is a mum, and the indented inside is not a mum. If an eye has, on the eye, there's something that looks like a snail, and the Gemara says that it's the same thing as a snake, that's a mum, and if it looks like a grape, also mum. Gemara says that Reb Shimon ben Yosi, who was a kohen, taught his Talmud, Rabbi Yochanan ben Elazar, that this snail shape is like a snake and it's a mum. And then in return, once he taught his Talmud, Rabbi Yochanan ben Elazar, he asked him, okay, now I want you to paskin on my own animal if this is a chilazon, if this is a snail, because he himself couldn't do it on his own animal. But once he taught it to his student could paskin on his animal. The Gemara says we learned that the first time a Talmud Chacham says a psak, we don't listen to him if it's negeh to him, if he's biased. But if he already said this psak in the past, then we could use the psak. There's a mum in the eye called tavlu. It's basically a white string that goes from the pupil to the white, or from the white to the pupil. Says the Gemara that if it goes from the white and goes into the black, then according to everybody that's considered a mum. But if it goes from the black to the white, according to Rabbi Yosi, and that's our Tan in the Mishnah, it's not a mum, because there's no mum in the white, as we said. But according to Rabbi Meir, it's considered a mum because tavlu means to mix up, and it's mixed up in the eye. Another mum called chivarver, which is white specks in the eye. That's a mum. According to Rabbi Meir, you wait for 40 days. According to Rabbi Yehuda, and that's the Tan of our Mishnah, you wait 80 days. You check. You can't just check in the beginning of the 80 days and the end of the 80 days. You have to check in 3 spots. In other words, every 26 and a half days, you check. So you check, you saw it the first day, you check 26 and a half days later, 26 and a half days after that, and after that, 27 days. Watery eyes, according to Meir, you check, you make sure that it's there for 80 days. If it stays for 80 days, then it's a mum. According to Rabbi Yehuda, you have to do a very elaborate thing to check out to see if it's actually a mum. It takes 3 months. You have to feed the animal hay, which grew in a field that was watered by rain and not irrigated. You have to give him a gregeres First, you have to give him moist hay that grew half the full month of Adar and half a month of Nisan, and then you give him hay that grew full month in Elul and a half a month in Tishrei. Very, very complicated thing. You have to do it every single day for 3 months, and only then, if he didn't heal from that whole concoction, then it's considered a mum. But if you reverse instead of giving him first moist and then dry, you give him dry and then moist, it's no good. And finally, the Gemara has a whole series of sfeikos. This whole process, you give him a gregaris, does it have to be every single time he eats or just one time a day? And if you say it's one time a day, does it have to be before he eats, like medicine, or after he eats? Does it have to be before he drinks or after he drinks? Does he have to be untied, so psychologically he's relaxed and he digests it better, or even tied to a leash? Does he have to be with a friend, so again he's relaxed, or not? Does he have to be out in the field, or he could be in a city where it's the ear is not as good, etc.? And if you say it has to be in a field, could he be in a garden that's next to a city? The Gemara says, Teiku, should have a wonderful day.